Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. So, I've been saying this would be the final stream for some time. I know I said that in the last stream, but you know what? This is the actual final. This is a culmination of, wow. I spent maybe about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours off cam, so, God, what am I up to now? I don't know, let's just say about 15 to 16 hours worth of time. Truly a long-term setup, and I thank you all so very bloody much for actually sticking with me throughout all of that, for those of you who have. And for those of you who haven't, well, only the Emperor can judge you. But yes, here we are. So, the only things left to do now are just decide some minor invasion plans, minor tactics, and yep, everything else is done. Every submarine is set up, everything is practically ready to go. I believe almost every ship in the Imperial Japanese Navy has been given orders. I'm practically 100% certain that. Almost every ship is in a task force. Those of them that who are, well, aren't, are either going to be assigned to different duties, but let's just see here. You can see here the vast majority of our ships are in task forces, which is pretty amazing considering the sheer amount of task forces that we actually do have. So let's actually look at all the task forces that we do have. That is a lot. That is an absurd amount of task forces. But yes, they're out there. Now, something to go over is around about Pearl Harbor. So what we have here is our patrol patterns. Now, what I'm doing here is each of these submarines is to go out towards the southwest, that sort of direction. I have some heading southeast, I have some heading a little bit further to the north. The reason behind these submarine movements is we are going to try and track down a Lexington-class carrier. It may be operating close by, but what I'm doing to further augment my search capabilities is the fact that I do have, let's see, so I'm looking for the 2200-ton submarine. On the 2400. Okay, so the I-8 is carrying reconnaissance planes. Well, a reconnaissance plane here. So you can see I've set that to 100% search. So that plane will be out continuously in efforts to search. We do have 4 submarines over here. The I-9, the I-25, the I-17, and the I-15. They are equipped with reconnaissance planes, and they are going to be heading out into this area as well. The idea is, if we actually have 4 to 5 reconnaissance planes, we may very well get lucky, and we may actually locate the Lexington. At the end of the day, if I know where she is, then I can chase her down in the following turns if we are lucky. We might be able to even land a torpedo strike on her. That'd be beautiful. Okay. It's rather remarkable, actually. There was a Lancaster bomber that just flew overhead over my house, actually. Which is really rather amusing. It looked absolutely fantastic. I don't know, its altitude was not very high. Maybe, I don't know, 1,000 feet? Less, maybe? Very close. But that was beautiful to see, and that's a very good omen. It could be a very good omen, or it could be a very bad omen. But it's nice to see some old British aircraft flying. Right then, so, one thing I'm considering is over here. We do have the invasion task force, so these are to be landing on the, well, south coast of the main Philippine island of Luzon. What I'm thinking here is we do have these follow-up invasions for like Hollandia in New Guinea. What I'm considering is rather than landing in New Guinea to where they're really not going to make that much of a difference. And like taking Hollandia, what do we actually gain here? I mean, sure, it's like port, sure, it's an airfield, but at the end of the day, I really don't think it's worthwhile. So what I'm considering is actually merging them into the main Philippine invasion force over here to bring these numbers up. Now, we do have about 5,000 troops here, plus 859 pieces of equipment. There's not many troops here, 324, 324, 624... 324, so just over, perhaps close to 2,000 extra men there, plus that equipment. We do have some aviation engineers in there as well, so what I'm thinking is, rather than waste them in New Guinea, where they're just going to sit there throughout the entirety of the war doing practically nothing, is actually have them pushed into the Philippines. The extra engineers could be very handy for, well, basing aircraft. And not to mention the extra troops there could be very handy. It will help me secure the Philippines in a much speedier fashion. So I do think that's a worthwhile thing to do. I was considering actually sending them towards Midway, but there's not enough troops here, and I do need to take the Philippines. So the other task forces will be merged into Task Force 89, so that's 112, 113, 1129, and 130. They will be merged into 89. Okay, so take everything that's not import, and let's see here. Now I do have some nice big ships over here in Task Force 3. Where are they off to? So Task Force 3 is the usual. I am considering perhaps taking... Right, now you're the covering force, aren't you, for the Philippines invasion? Okay. Right, we'll merge Task Force 112 into this. Okay, here's 112. Right, they are docked at the moment, so I do need to undock them. That's a big port, though, not gonna lie. So, 112. 113, 1129. Okay. 130. Right, beautiful. So, we've brought the total number up here, then, to 6,620 troops. Hell of a lot of supply. And we will have multiple engineers in here. So that's going to be very handy. I can actually use that to establish a good forward operational base for the aircraft. Now, what I'm going to do actually is... let's see. I'm going to transfer the Haguro... not to here, sorry. I'm going to transfer the Haguro... Actually, no, yes, to here. I'm actually going to send the seaplane carriers with Ryujo. I don't really see the point in having them operate with that invasion force. So, let's see. I can't have them in air combat, which is rather irritating. I wonder then. Right. Oh god. Wow, that's a really inefficient use of them. So they're actually being used to carry troops, which is rather intriguing. Okay, well, these guys... What else do we have? So we have search planes, of course. Okie dokie. So we'll change these orders to 60-40. 60 search, 40 rest. Now go float planes in the task force. Okay, so you're going to have to go that way. That's fine. So what I'll do then is I'll transfer the Haguro into this task force. Which, if we take a look over here then, can I see the actual gun value? Well, let's look at the gun value before and after then. So, gun value here, 521. So the Haguro in here brings out to 1,310. That's a big difference. That is a mighty big difference there. So what we're going to do then is going to land them there. Are the troops planned... Well, are they planning for this? Let's see. Yes, they're all planning for this. That's fantastic. I've set them all to plan anyway. That's good news then. Now, another change I've actually made here is to do with these aircraft over here. As far as I'm aware, port attacks, it's naval attacks, I believe, that can use bomb and torpedoes, but I think port attacks use bombs only. So what I've done is I've set these aircraft to use bombs only, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the 21st Air Flotilla and set their, use the headquarters to set their planning towards Manila. When you do have your headquarters nearby, it does have the effect of increasing the amount of bombers available for these raids, as the coordination is, I would presume, better. So, we'll do that, and honestly there's not much left to do. What I've done in Japan is I've sorted out the transports and tankers to a decent degree. So tankers will be heading to Osaka or Tokyo. There is going to be some tankers heading to the north. I've also taken all the troop transports that I can find, and they're going to be sent primarily to either Nagasaki, Tokyo, or Ominato, where we're going to be able to use them to transfer troops. I've started to send a couple destroyers to Shanghai and Kizhou from Tianjin over here, 2 destroyers to Port Arthur, so that's going to be good. What we need to do then is we do have a bunch of divisions and a bunch of engineers on the way down to Nagasaki. Also from Hokkaido, we will have a division headed down to Hakodate, so I'm going to try and pick up that division and move it elsewhere as well. So what we will be deciding on then in the second turn is where these reinforcements will be going. What I've done over here in Malaya then is I've actually decided I'll use these forces over here. So the RTA division and the RTA cavalry division, so the Royal Thai Army division there. The RTA division is going to be strategically transported to Singora. Now it's going to take a couple of days, about 2-3 days, but once they do move strategically, they will be here very, very quickly. So what I'll do then with the troops on the ground already is, as these forces, when they do unpack, when they do arrive, and they do start unpacking, I can actually keep moving them. I don't have to wait for them to actually unpack to move them, if I give them the movement order. However, if I give them the movement order while they're unpacking, they do suffer a pretty massive disadvantage in combat. So the idea here is it's going to take them about 2 to 3 days to land, well, to get to Singora. Once they arrive at Singora, they will immediately be dispatched towards marching. So our troops on the ground that will be landed at Singora, Patani, and Kurtobru will be able to march out and support them to actually take Alo Star first, so we can keep the movement up. We are going to be launching an invasion of Mersing. I do have Kongo and Haruna, my Sundares. They will be travelling down here to actually guard against their Force Z. That may sally forth. I do have my submarines heading out in this direction as well. We do have 2 submarines over here to mine, well, lay some mines over here just outside of Singapore, which is going to be mightily interesting. I don't know if I want to actually do it just outside of Singapore. Would I be better just here, or... I mean, it's a risky proposition, but I think it might be worthwhile to actually get some mines of our own into Singapore, which would be rather intriguing. I do have you over here I forgot to give orders to. You're going to be laying mines about there. Not a terrible situation, actually. Not a terrible idea. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay. So after reading the manual as well, I've found out that for a minesweeper task force, how they work is they actually sweep mines in their hex, but also 6 hexes around them. So for example, when we do want to start clearing mines from Singapore and Hong Kong, we will be able to actually have them outside of Hong Kong, so they're not going to be in as much danger. It might be better to ship them to Patani as it has a road advance quicker down to Singapore. The thing is, if I ship them to Patani, they're not actually on the rail, so they would have to be shipped down to Kotoburu. But what I can do is, by the time these troops are ready to move via rail, I could have them shipped down, well, I could have them move via rail down to Kotoburu, which is a good idea. I mean, if we take a look, we can see here the terrain type, jungle, clear terrain over here to Kotoburu, which is going to be very handy for us. But let's see, so if we go from Singora, for example, we have jungle, 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 clear, clear, jungle. If we go this way, clear, jungle, 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 oh, jungle rough, which is pretty bad terrain to go through and to fight through. It's not great for movement, to be fair. The route that may be the easiest to move through would be over on the coast here, as that would certainly give us the best terrain to work with. So it's something to bear in mind. I think what I'd probably be better off doing is landing my troops at Kotoburu, having a smaller force travel down here through this rough jungle terrain, but having the majority of our forces head down here through the jungle and the clear terrain, which would actually work out to our advantage, as the defended troops won't have as much of a advantage. The weather is poor over here, so it's not exactly great. We are blessed with clear weather around Pearl Harbor and the Hawaiian Islands, so that does make things significantly better. Now, something I've not been able to decide on is how to move. Yeah, the move over to the left side of Singapore from there. That's very true. Something I've been unable to decide is how to move my submarines as of yet. I think what we might want to do then is potentially head towards Johnston Island, maybe. Well, then again. What we'll do then is... It's a difficult situation. But what I'm going to do then is I'm going to have them set patrols around around the Marsh Islands. We will of course change it as we do find out, well, hopefully do find out where American submarines are. I'll have one operated around Wake as well. I've also strengthened the Wake invasion. We did have a invasion force heading towards Tarawa, but what I've done is I've cancelled that, and I've merged them with the Wake invasion force, so the Wake invasion force will be stronger than normal. So we'll have about 3,000 troops here, which is pretty good. What I can do as well is I can start moving some extra troops if I would like to do so, which is actually not a bad idea. Now, what command are they under? That's probably something to check out. Right, so these forces are under the command... Well, these are the floatplanes. These forces are under the command of 4th Fleet. Okay, so if I found 4th Fleet Command, I could actually give them planning for... Right, these guys need to be moved as well. There's quite a lot of forces. Let's see here. I should have some actual transport available. These would be quite handy. Right. So I have the Kishima Maru. I do have a destroyer tender over here. I've also put together some actual support task forces as well to be of pretty good use. Okay. And let's see what we have available. Not particularly anything. Okay. What I'm going to do with you is I'm going to have you start loading troops then. But again, I only have these groups. So we'll have you head down here then. Naval Fortress. Base Force over there. I have an engineering group over there. Okay. The Naval Guard could be moved. So I'd like to move the Naval Guard. Right. It's a difficult choice as to what to do with these submarines. It may be worthwhile then heading towards Johnson Island. Oh, then again, it might be worth heading towards Australian waters. It's a difficult question. I think what we need to do then is try to actually anticipate THG's moves. If he does run towards Australia, we do need to try and counter that. So I think I'll have a couple of them head towards Sydney. Then again, they don't even have the speed. Well, sort of the endurance. It's honestly a difficult question. I don't quite know how to use these guys as of yet. Chiefly due to the fact I don't know where I need to defend. Right, I'm going to anticipate a path this way. So patrol around these islands just for the time being. Once we have a great understanding of THG's movement, I'll be able to really plan to a better degree, to be honest. The idea here is at least we do have submarines spread out, and at least we do have them on hand to act if needed. I think these guys can start patrolling around the Solomon Isles and the Coral Sea. The idea being, if he does head through this way, at least we can try to shut off this area. So we'll patrol the Solomon Sea. What I want to do then is just really try and catch him wherever he does go. If he does head to Australia, that is. I mean, the fact is he might just head back to America with his carriers, which is a very prudent move. It may be one he does indeed choose to do. So I just need to try and prepare for every eventuality. And at the end of the day, we also do have plenty of merchant ships to try and catch out in the open while we have the chance to. Okay. Patrol around New Caledonia, potentially. There we go. As long as we have submarines in the waters there, we do have some limited information gathering. And we'll try to make the most of that. So I think one here to cover the island. Now I do have another submarine down by Fiji, which is going to cover this area. Okay. Patrol around Fiji. Well, around the port over here. This is the big boy. So patrol around there. Okie dokie. Now, other than that, I legitimately believe everything is done. More or less. So, it's been a hell of an experience. Another change I've actually made, one that I do need to try and sort of work out a little bit more, is that there were aircraft on these islands over here. What I've done is I've actually moved them all the way over to here. The reason behind that is they do have 70 aviation support, so what I will need to do is move just a couple float planes out of here, potentially to another island. But you can see here, yeah, 75 required. We'll move about 5 aviation support worth of aircraft to one of the other islands. But what I've decided is rather than having them spread out, I might as well actually consolidate my aviation support into one area. The reason for that is as well that we do have supply and fuel here, which is really nice. And hello there, Blinson and JV, how are you guys doing? Well, yes, the first turn will actually be the next stream, which is going to be really fun. I mean, this stream's only 20 odd minutes, but it's not going to be much longer. Really coming close to the end of this final stream, because at the end of the day I've made the final moves off cam. The majority of those were actually putting together transports around Japan, putting together, well, moving the tankers to Nagasaki, well, mostly to Tokyo or Osaka. A couple to the north. We're also moving a few destroyers. Converted the rest of the Minakaze class into APDs. Moved a few aircraft around, issued some orders. We do need to go ahead and find just a couple more orders as well. So, like the 4th Fleet Commander and that sort of thing. But yes, the idea is I do have 12 fighters. I do have another 24 fighters just on the island to the north there. But we have 9 transports, 24 patrol aircraft, 18 float planes, 36 level bombers. Now, what I'm doing with these actual patrol planes is they are set to 60-40, and it's one of those. Do I set them to search in a certain area? Well, I could do, but I don't have the range to actually make it all the way over here. So I think what I'll leave them to do is actually keep running in a random patrol, as I don't even know if I'll have any information on Lexington in the first turn, so we're just going to have to see what happens. The G3s were originally set to bombard the airfield at Wake. Now, it's not a bad idea, but what I'd rather do with them in the meantime is actually have them on naval search, so that they could be used to actually potentially attack a carrier. North by southwest, sorry, southeast for the Mavis, potentially so. I could actually use the smaller patrol, possibly. And actually the larger patrol would obviously serve that route better. So let's see. Are we thinking down here by the Gilbert Islands? Possibly not a bad idea. I think what I'll do is we'll wait until the second turn, as the Lexingtons can't travel that fast. We'll wait until the second turn, and then if I have any sort of information on where these ships may be heading, or if I have any sort of information like any sort of heading, then at least I'll have a better indication as to where to start planning my flights. But yes, just to go over some of the changes, I've cancelled all the invasions down here in New Guinea. I was thinking we could use them for the invasion of Wake or for Midway, but they're not strong enough. So what I've done is I've consolidated them into the Philippines invasion, so that brings that strength up to 6,620, plus all the support and equipment there. What I've also done is from the Marshall Islands is I've taken the Tarawa invasion and I've combined that with the Wake invasion, bringing our numbers up to about 3,000 troops. We did just set up a transport here to pick up some of these Naval Guard, which could be then moved over here. I think what might be worthwhile doing is if we look at Japan, look into Tokyo, see if we have an actual transport, or some actual troop transport, and start loading some ships, well, some troops on already. Seems not over here. How about over here? What do I have? I do have a single transport. These transports are moving to Tokyo. What I'll do then is allow them to continue on that path. Allow them to continue to Tokyo, as I will be having infantry regiments headed to Tokyo. Is as soon as they arrive, I'll have them loaded on the ships and we can start loading them and sending them to Wake Island. Another little thing I've done, and I think you guys will approve, is I've actually set up the... Where is it now? The Shimurashijima floatplane. So that is equipped with an escort as well. It's being accompanied by an escort. They're going to head out here. Now that aviation tender, the aircraft tender, is going to set up shop over here. Now we don't have an airfield, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have about 6 or so float planes take up residence in this area. So what their job will be then to do is to actually, within about 4 hex radius, is patrol this area here. Which is actually going to be quite nice. I mean, if we take a look with the drawing tool, just work out that sort of radius, it's going to be pretty good. And the idea is if I can sort of patrol the Kuril Islands, it's also going to be very handy for seeing where surface ships may come from, for example. So let's see here. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether it counts the origin as like a hex. I'm going to say no for aircraft, but we'll count it anyway, so we'll do it both ways. So, this is awkward. It's a little awkward sometimes, you have to try and find the dot. So, 1, 2, 3. So if that's counting the actual takeoff location, we'd have something like that. If it doesn't, then that goes out that way. So if I look, so this would be 1, perhaps. Yeah, that makes it awkward. Do you think he'll come north through there for anything other than submarines? You know, there's a good potential. Really good potential that he may do so. Actually, let's do it this way. Okay. I wish there was a straight line this way. But if we try and work things out, it might be something like that, or something like that will be patrolling with these float planes, which is actually a good chunk of the Kuril Islands. So, the question there raised by Blinton is, do you think he'll come through the Kuril Islands with anything? Well, I'm afraid of submarines. But at the end of the day, if he does decide to, he could very well actually launch a few surface combat raids here. So surface ship raids. So I think what we'll do then is we'll have a couple of float planes there, just to obviously observe and really keep an eye on what's going on. At the end of the day, he does have the Aleutian Islands not too far away. So he does have ports nearby for small ships, like small combat ships, submarines, that sort of thing. So we do need to be quite aware of that. In the following turn, we will obviously have the convoys arriving at their destinations. So what I'll start to do then is obviously organise those convoys as they should be. So we'll have to go back and really get things going that way. But we have the task forces to really sort of organise them. How big is Atu? Atu. Where's Atu? Ah, there we go, Atu. So we have port capacity 1. I think there's only really one useful port over here of any decent size, which is Dutch Harbour. So yeah, port capacity 3. So at the end of the day, he could have some actual small warships head to Dutch Harbour, or even something like a light cruiser could do it, to be fair. And the thing is, I do need to be aware of that. I've actually dispatched 2 to 3 destroyers, or potentially 4 destroyers, to the north. What I may consider as well is actually dispatching a light cruiser, or perhaps some of the older light... No, I think maybe a more modern light cruiser, potentially to the north over here as well. So if we try to put together a force of maybe 4 to 5 destroyers and a light cruiser up here in the north, obviously they'll have tasks in the meantime. But if we have them over here in the north, then that could be quite an effective counter to, well, enemy forces coming down this route. What else have I done? Right, yes. As stated, I was looking sort of in the manual, and it seems like port attacks are bombs only, so what I've done is actually rearmed the G3s. All the aircraft that will be bombing Manila will be using bombs. So ideally that will produce the best result. What I'm going to do here as well is actually find their headquarters and set it to target Manila. Hopefully we might have a better result that way. Right, future objective will be Manila. I mean, I don't know if this will help us, but hopefully it will do. Look at the army aircraft as well. Do your Megami class cruisers still have the 5x3 155s or the 5x2 203s? We'll take a look at that, so I'll look for the Megami. Oh, there's some big boys. So that's a Tone class. Let's look for the Megami. So the Megami is armed with the 200s actually. Yeah, 200mm. They do become extremely effective against aircraft there. That's very nice to see. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Yep, so we have mine lane going over here. Let's look at the army aircraft and check their headquarters. I want to make sure that we can get as much on target as possible. Now the Zeros, we won't be running them with the drop tanks continuously. This is going to cost us, but it will be worthwhile. I reckon just getting the airfield attacks going to Clark, ideally we could try to destroy as many aircraft as possible. I think what we'll be doing as well is I am sending a number of AMCs, so armed merchant vessels, to Trug. So what I'm going to do with these bad boys is I'm going to have them really sort of patrol out this way, or possibly like midway in the Pacific Ocean. Possibly not so much on this shipping lane, as that's going to be really quite hot. But I think maybe down to the south over here, this sort of direction, around these island chains, where he's not going to be at his strongest, and it might actually be worthwhile having a few patrols out there, or even over here in the north. What I'm going to be looking for is really ways to poke into his logistics. I don't want to give him a path that is completely safe. In terms of surface groups, it may be better to send destroyers with an older heavy cruiser, not cruisy, why did I say cruisy? As they are, yeah, that's true. That's very true. I mean, the heavy cruiser would obviously have a better chance of surviving as well due to her armor, so that's not a bad point. Yeah, some of the Japanese ships are very decent AA. The Akazuki destroyers were made as an AA platform. 4x 200mm purpose guns were pretty potent. Yeah, I can imagine. Bloody hell. Right, so let's just check the command over here before I forget. So the G4s are under the 23rd Air Flotilla, so we'll give them the order too. 23rd, set your objective to Clark. There we go. Rightio. So we are covered over here by having a decent amount of aircraft set to naval attack. We are about 1 hex out, so we do have range on Johor Bahru. I could obviously set the range to Singapore, but I want to avoid Singapore. I don't want to actually go for Singapore. So ideally they will avoid that. I'm somewhat tempted to reduce it down to 12 rather than 13, because I really don't want to be hitting Singapore. So I think I might actually do that, to be fair. Right, so 14. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Right, okay. So I'm going to set all the level bombers to 13. Now, that brings us within range of Mersing, and Force Z should be somewhere around here. What I don't want to do is I don't want them to attack Singapore. I really, really do not want them to do that. So we're going to keep them available. We have set up much of our industry. I'm not... I think in terms of R&D, I feel a little bit silly about overdoing it at Sue. But the vast majority is okay. I think what we'll do then is really decide on these other models over here. But the vast majority of them aren't really usable. well, aren't going to be doing anything right now, so it's not really too much of a waste. But what I'll do is in future, when I do have more time to obviously get a feeling for what we're going to be dealing with from the American player, then we'll be able to decide really what models would be better. Because most of the older cruisers, pre-refit, don't have that much AA. Yeah, that's very true. It's not a bad thing, actually. I mean, the heavy cruisers really are pretty good for bombardment, and obviously surface combat, which is a role I'm really going to be using them on. Oh, another thing I've also done is, we do have baby Kido Butai over here. So I've dispatched, let's see... Yes, so Yamashiro has been dispatched, and I believe Mutsu somewhere? I can't remember where they are now. She's over here somewhere. Yeah, so, okay, here we go. So we have, yeah, Yamashiro and Kitakami, not the ship I was looking for. Let's see. Oh, there's Mutsu. Yes, so Mutsu and Yamashiro, as well as Kitakami, will be meeting up with baby Kido Butai. So we'll have another 2 battleships thrown in there. I'm not going to keep them in there with the battleships, but what I plan to do is actually dispatch them. And we'll use them to bombard. What I'm going to do different in this campaign is rather than have the escorts bombard, is we are going to bombard at absolute maximum range. Even if it's not as effective, I do not want to get close to these ports, so I do want to try and minimise the amount of coastal defence fire that we receive in turn, ideally. Which would be quite handy. I will be putting together quite a few naval mine clearing task forces, as we found out from reading the manual that I could have them deployed here, for example, and they would do 6 hexes around, or here and they do 6 hexes around. So we'll use that to clear mines at Singapore and Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong has been given orders, these troops are on the move, we've given our orders in China, as well to the aircraft. We do have plenty of raids ongoing, so things are going to be rather spicy to begin with. So, indeed, much to be done, and much that can go wrong, but let's hope for the absolute best, then, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? I think I'm finally ready, unless I've missed something glaringly obvious, but we'll have time to fix that. I'm ready to call this actually done. And it's only taken me, what, 15, 16 hours to reach this point? So, that's a long bloody time. That's a long bloody time. That's a lot of time talking. But yeah, here we go. This is going to be rather interesting. So, I'm putting this stream out today mostly just to let you guys know. How spread out are your sub-patrols around Hawaii? Okay, good question, good question. So what I've done here is that it's turned on the archer patrols. So what I'm doing is that the submarines on this side of Hawaii are going to be patrolling around this area. I've got the majority close to Pearl Harbor itself in case he does try to run with anything from Pearl Harbor. So we do have double and triple patrols close to the vicinity, and then outside we do have a couple of patrols. I do have these submarines actually running patrols this way and this way, just sort of further out, as they do have reconnaissance aircraft. These submarines and these submarines and these submarines are heading out in this general direction. The submarines over here, as they're equipped with search planes, are heading out this way, and this way. We do have another submarine carrying a aircraft which is heading this way, and we are spreading these guys out pretty far and wide. Each one of them is is given the max reaction of 1 hex, so I'm trying to spread them out as much as possible. The idea being that we do try to find just absolutely anything. And what I'm considering as well, actually, now that I think about it, is actually putting these guys on full speed. Which, you know what, I think I'm going to do. So full speed, 23 knots. I don't think that's a bad idea. It does increase the amount of wear and tear on the submarine, but I reckon having them run full speed for this first phase isn't a bad idea. And it might not actually be a bad idea to run full speed over here as well. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I will do. Okay. Now I could have a range increase. That's intriguing. I'm not sure you'd need to go near Hilo, but move on to the southwest approach to Pearl instead. Let's see. Well, what I'm considering is that they might try to run this way, so I'm going to have something just at least to see if they find anything. It's more for the reconnaissance aircraft than the actual submarine itself. I mean, the thing is, I don't know exactly where they are. I don't really want to find that information out. Okay. I guess what I'll do then is I'll have them travel further out. I suppose at the end of the day, that is going to make for a much better chance of actually finding them. Yeah, I'm just trying to cover all aspects here, really. I really don't know where they might be. So what I'm doing is trying to spread my submarines out to a decent capacity. I mean, this is it. He could do any number of things, and we have to sort of be ready for that. So it's like I'm spreading these submarines out pretty randomly. I'm going to have a couple going full speed and a couple on cruise speed to obviously like keep the rangers sort of within a decent distance. But I reckon having these guys move on full speed out to their maximum distance is a good idea. At the end of the day, they are equipped with search planes, so if they're going to find anything, it's going to be these guys. Having them spread out decently as well is not a bad idea. I don't know. I think it's one of those things of, because I don't know where his carrier will start, and I won't want to find that information out, it's going to look incredibly inefficient to somebody who would know where the carriers are, but I think this is part of the fun. I'd rather not know where they are. It's like I've agreed to not hunt his carrier with CVs, but I do believe that submarines are fair game considering that they are already here, and their task was to look for these guys. So we might get lucky, we might not. It really does depend on the luck of the draw, really. But at least with these submarines moving on full speed as well as cruise speed, at least a good majority of them are going full speed. We might get lucky, we might find them. So we'll have to hope for the best. But, yeah. I think what we're going to do as well, regarding Kidobutai, is, let's see. So Kidobutai is obviously set here. Do I have a bombardment one? Where are you going to be bombarded? Midway. Ooh, that's some way out, isn't it? So you're going to be moving 20 times your normal speed. I don't even think it's worth bombarding Midway with 2 destroyers. I mean, that's absolutely nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep these guys around here for convoys, to be honest. I think they'd actually serve that purpose a hell of a lot better than just bombarding Midway. So we'll have them head over here to Kishiro. That's another change done. I think what I might do as well is actually create a few motor torpedo boats, so motor gunboats, probably torpedo boats, and we can have them just to help support our destroyers. Idea is, even if I lose a motor torpedo boat, that really doesn't make any difference to me. Yeah. Okay. So expansion is going to go ahead with the industry. We are expanding the... we're not going to bombard Kishiro, but I'll set them to ASW. I didn't change their mission considering there's not going to be any submarines in this area, but I'll change that to just put on ASW for the time being. I'm going to put them into the actual convoys once they're set up, to be fair. The idea is going to be that we have the planes here to keep an eye on this shipping line. Each of the convoys will have at least 2 to 3 destroyers. We're going to aim for about 3 destroyers in each of these convoys. So the idea is then we'll have our mix of passive and active anti-submarine warfare. So the active is going to be the ships actively out there patrolling. So we'll have a mix of active. So we'll have the ships out there at sea, and then we'll have the hunter-killer groups that will try and increase the number of in time. The idea being then that the patrols out at sea do sort of locate a submarine, or aircraft do locate a submarine. And then what I can do is I can dispatch the sub-chasers, the hunter-killer groups, to actually go to that location and actually chase that SOB down. Hopefully our strike at Manila will actually prove to be incredibly valuable. As the end of the day, if I actually do knock a few submarines out, or as many submarines out, which there's going to be a few submarines here at Manila, out for any decent length of time, that's going to really be absolutely invaluable to the war effort. The entire Japanese economy is really going to be carried out in this area here. We will be having oil sent up to the home islands when we do get that chance, as well as resources. Yeah, I think the Mersing invasion is going to be rather ambitious, but what I'll do is I'll have Congo and Haruna actually head down here to cover that. What I plan to do as well is with Kido Butai, is I think I'll keep about... I don't know, we'll keep about 75% of Kido Butai out here in the Pacific. So we'll have... Let's see, if we look at the carriers. So what I plan to do then is have Kaga and Akagi actually head to the East Asian sphere. So Hiru, Soru, Shokaku, and Zuikaku will stay out in the Pacific. The reasoning is I do not want to actually allow THG to act unmolested. What I'll do then is try to use around 75% of Kiributai to actively pursue a campaign against Wake and to actively pursue a campaign against Midway. I do believe that securing Midway will be able to help force THG onto the back foot, and I do want to actually force him into decisive battle. If there's any point in the campaign where I can try and actually win a decisive battle, it will be now. So I do need to force that. I believe by taking Midway, what I can do as well is I can actually source aircraft tenders. Ideally, I'll have some actual patrol aircraft tenders eventually, or possibly I'll be able to convert a few ships into those. So what I would like to do is actually run patrol aircraft from Midway, or even from Wake. Wake could probably be a safer option. But what I want to do then is really keep THG on the back foot as much as possible. Now, what I've got to bear in mind is I'm not just playing against the historical gamer. He's going to have Belugan, I believe, stepping in every now and then to take a look at his turn as well to help him plan. So we are going to be going up against some competent players here, so we do need to be very bold. So, I think, to be honest, we are going to be changing history in a few circumstances. We will be taking Wake. Wake will fall. I can guarantee you Wake will fall. If I do take Midway, that is going to actually really do quite a lot. Kido Butai is in port, but how it works is as we're playing December 7th, we do have a December 7th surprise rule on, is Kido Butai will travel 20 times her normal speed. That is actually part of the surprise rule, so she will be outside of Pearl Harbor. Trust me, she's going to move 20 times her normal speed in a single turn. I was talking about this in our last stream. I figured the theory is that she straps all of her aircraft to the back of the actual carriers, and they fire those engines. So basically, the Task Force of Kido Butai achieves something like Mach 9 for one date and one date only on December 7th. But we are going to have a hell of a lot of fun on December 7th. The December 7th surprise rule is really going to help us out massively. It's going to give us the best chance to actually hit the Allies hard. So, with that said, I think I'm ready to actually give this save over to THG. So, ideally, the next... well, yeah. When the next Until the Cherry Blossoms Fall stream does come out, hopefully it will be the first turn, and you know what, I can feel the anticipation growing, I can feel the tears coming, I feel they're going to be there. Ideally they're going to be tears of joy, as ideally we sink an American aircraft carrier. That'd be, oh god, that'd be so beautiful. That would definitely be the strongest way for us to start out the campaign, actually ideally sinking one of his aircraft carriers. That would actually change the balance of power in the Pacific massively. Yeah, turn resolution is going to take up its own stream. Definitely. And I figured out you can actually pause the turn resolution, so I will be going through that. And we will be going through it in absolutely anal detail. I was actually considering, do I change the commander of Kido Butai? I think this was something I was talking about in like one of the first streams. So it might be worth doing it now, actually. So if I go to air... Yeah, I think I was talking about having Tamon Yamaguchi as Commander of Kiributai. Which, looking at it now, okay, so he has higher leadership, he has higher inspiration, he's a better naval commander, he's a better land commander, which is rather funny, he's just as good in the air. His administration is a little bit lower, but his aggression is a little higher as well. So I think what we'll do then is we'll have Tamon Yamaguchi as commander of Kiributai. There we go. Tamon Yamaguchi takes command of Kiributai in the last minute. Ah dear. I mean, to be honest, I could actually have Baby Kiributai actually use Negumo, but I'm sure it'd be better used elsewhere. So ideally, that little bit of a change will result in some slightly better results there. I think having that higher inspiration may work out well for us, and having that aggression may work out well. So, indeed. Let's just check this. Final pre-flight checks. Do we have them running drop tanks? Good question. That's a good question. No, I'm not going to have them run drop tanks. They don't need to. They're going to be attacking alongside the torpedo bombers and the dive bombers anyway. Right, they do have 80 planning on Pearl Harbor, which is good. They're obviously going to arrive well within range of Pearl Harbor, so that's good. I mean, to be honest, I don't dare to change their route just in case it does alter the December 7th rule. I don't know how it works. I know only certain task forces, but I don't want to screw with that just in case. Hello there, Marcus. How you doing, my friend? But yes, I think what we'll do then is we'll obviously have Akagi and Karga head back to the Dutch East, well, to the South China Sea, and over here as well by Malaya. Ideally, they can support the Philippines operations. So I think by having 2 fleet carriers as well as 2 light carriers and an escort carrier, I think I might have the escort carrier running actual aircraft around, to be fair, to different islands. But yeah, at least 2 fleet carriers and at least 2 light carriers. I think we could actually really get some momentum going in the South China Sea. So, yeah, okay. I think with that, we are done. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for getting to this point. Thank you for sticking with me, and I really do hope that this play-by-email game does turn out to be one of the best games I ever do. I really do hope so. It's certainly the most effort I've ever put into a One Up Pacific game, and I've learnt a lot, and I hope you guys have learnt a lot as well. It might be the longest informal tutorial ever, but yeah, other than just setting up a few support task forces, you've seen absolutely everything from start to finish. Ah, thank you there, Marcus. That really does mean a lot. So, thank you. I just want to say that. It's getting a little bit emotional now. So until next time, guys, thank you so very much for watching. And hopefully the next Until the Cherry Blossoms Fall stream you will see will be Return Resolution. I'm going to say that probably be next week, or maybe sometime after. We'll have to see. But thank you so very much, and goodbye. Over and out.